I'm going to do a quick how-to on how to solder some Deans onto a battery. So obviously need the battery with this horrible Tamiya connector on it. We've got some heat shrink. We've got some cutting tools, some soldering iron preheated on max. So basically the battery end goes on the female end here, and the bottom bit, this is the positive, and the top bit is the negative. So first thing we're going to do, I use a vise for this just to make things a little bit easier. Pop it just in the vise like so. And what we're going to do, we're going to tin the parts we're going to solder onto. So I say make sure the soldering iron's nice and hot. Just a quick tin, there you go. And on the bottom here, you can't see this bit due to the camera angle, but right. So the easiest way I do this is sometimes if you heat the these bits up here, it actually melts through a bit of the plastic. So what we do is we put the other end, which is the charger ESC end, put it in like so, make sure it's nice and flat, just holding it like that, and then we pop it into the vise. Make sure none of the metal connections are actually touching any of the metal at all, because we don't want to short the battery out. So then what we'll do the negative side first. So I'll give that a little cut. Take a bit of the plastic sheathing off. In fact, I'll remove that from there, just so you can see what I'm doing. I will put this into the vise. And I'll just tin the battery wire. Make sure that the solder goes right the way through the wire. There we go, you can see that it's gone right the way through. Pop the Deans back in. As we said, the negative goes on this bit here. So then I'll cut a bit of the heat shrink. Pop that over the wire furthest away so it doesn't shrink while we're soldering it. And then heat this back up. Pop it on. Probably a good idea to use a pair of pliers at this point to hold the wire. The wire tends to heat up a bit, obviously. And then we'll slide the plastic down. And now what I use, you're probably supposed to use a heat gun for this, but just a lighter just to make sure the heat shrink just takes to it. There we go. So we'll just release the connectors again. Measure the wire on the battery so the wire is equal length. again, take a bit of the plastic sheath off. Tin the battery wire again, making sure that the solder goes right the way through. Dean's back in. Again, making sure that the positive and negative don't touch each other all the way through the process. A bit of the red heat shrink off. I'll go for using a pair of pliers on this one. There we go, it's tucked to it. Heat shrink back over there. Give it a little tug, make sure it's totally tucked to it. Heat shrink on. Should really get a better lighter. There we go. Now hold the connections, make sure they do not touch each other, otherwise they will spark. Say I'm doing this on a nickel metal hydride battery and not a LiPo, so. There we have it. One Dean's on the battery.